My child, I never wanted to tell you this like this, not with urgency pressing on every word, not with the weight you can feel even before you understand why. I would have preferred to speak gently, slowly, in a moment that felt calm and safe to you. But you must open your heart now. Not later. Not after you feel ready. Now. Because this moment is not waiting, and what is unfolding will not pause simply because you are unsure. I am begging you to listen, not because I am weak, not because I lack authority, but because time is pressing in ways you cannot yet see. When I plead, it is not desperation, it is love that refuses to stay silent when silence would cost you more than discomfort. I am leaning toward you right now, calling your attention with urgency because I know what is moving beneath the surface of your life. I'm sorry I have to do this. I'm sorry I have to interrupt you like this, in the middle of your thoughts, your scrolling, your distractions, your exhaustion. I know you are tired. I know you did not ask for intensity. But you absolutely need to know what is happening. This is not information meant to overwhelm you. This is truth meant to prepare you. And preparation sometimes arrives before comfort. Do not delay. Do not scroll away. Do not tell yourself you will come back to this later when you feel calmer or less distracted. This moment cannot wait. Later feels safer. But later has already stolen too much from you. Later has softened your urgency and numbed your awareness. I am calling you into now because now is where clarity lies. What I am about to reveal will change how you see everything you are facing. The confusion you've been feeling. The pressure you couldn't explain. The sense that something is shifting but you couldn't name it. None of that is random. None of that is imagination. You have been standing in the middle of movement without understanding its direction. I am speaking now so you are not caught unaware. I would not interrupt you like this unless it mattered more than your comfort. I know how much you value peace. I know how carefully you guard your emotional space. But comfort can become dangerous when it keeps you from seeing what is real. I am not here to steal your peace. I am here to anchor it in truth so it does not collapse when pressure rises. This is not meant to scare you. I am not trying to alarm you or make you anxious. I am speaking urgently to save you from missing what is unfolding right in front of you. Missing it would not destroy you, but it would delay you in ways that would weigh on your heart later. I love you too much to allow that without warning you first. Please listen to me now. Not with half your attention. Not with one foot already stepping away. Listen with your heart open, even if it feels uncomfortable. Silence after this could cost you more than you realize, not because I would abandon you, but because ignoring truth dulls your ability to recognize it later. Awareness is a gift. Do not set it down lightly. I am speaking urgently because I love you deeply. Not because you have failed. Not because you are in danger. But because you are standing at a moment that matters, and I will not let you pass through it unaware. Love does not always whisper. Sometimes love speaks firmly because the road ahead narrows. You may feel your heart beating faster right now. You may feel tension rise in your chest. Do not mistake that for fear. That is recognition. Something in you knows this is not ordinary. Something in you knows this is not just another message. That is your spirit responding to truth before your mind fully understands it. I know part of you wants reassurance before revelation. You want to know everything will be fine before you listen any further. But hear me. Reassurance without truth does not last. Truth builds reassurance that can hold you steady when circumstances shift. That is what I am offering you now. Open now. Not your hands. Not your plans. Your heart. Open the place where you have been protecting yourself from disappointment. Open the place where you have been saying, I can't deal with this right now. Today, do not run from the intensity. Do not numb yourself. Stay with me here. Say I belong to you alone, Jesus, if you've given him your future. This is for you. Not for everyone. Not for the crowd. For you. I am speaking to you personally, deliberately, urgently, because I see where you are standing. I see what is approaching. I see what is possible if you listen, and what will be harder if you don't. I am not here to rush you into action. I am here to bring you into awareness. Action will come later. Right now, listening is everything. Staying is everything. Letting my words reach you before your defenses rise is everything. You are not in trouble. You are not being punished. You are being warned because you are loved. There is a difference. Warnings protect. Acknowledgement condemns. I am not condemning you. I am protecting you. Do not tell yourself this is too much. Do not minimize this moment to make it easier to walk away. Sacred moments are often uncomfortable because they ask us to adjust, to see differently, to let go of illusions that felt safe. Stay with me. Breathe. Let the urgency settle into focus instead of fear. I am here with you, not shouting from a distance, but speaking close to your heart. Open now. Stay. This is for you. My child, I need you to understand why I am speaking to you like this now, with a seriousness you can feel even before you fully grasp the words. I do not speak urgently without reason. Urgency is not my preference. It is my response when love sees something approaching that cannot be ignored. I would much rather speak to you slowly, gently, over time, letting truth unfold at a pace that feels comfortable to you. But there are moments when comfort itself becomes a danger, when delay costs more than discomfort, and this is one of those moments. I did not want to speak this way. I do not enjoy pressing on your heart or interrupting your sense of calm. I know you have carried enough weight already. I know how carefully you try to manage your emotions, how hard you work to keep things steady. But I am speaking now because waiting any longer would not be kindness. It would be neglect. Love does not stay quiet when silence would leave you unprepared. Hear this clearly, because it matters. This is not panic. I am not alarmed. I am not afraid. I am not reacting to something out of control. I am acting with intention. Protection often sounds urgent because it must move ahead of harm, not behind it. When a parent calls out sharply to a child about to step into danger, that voice is not fear, it is care moving quickly. That is the voice you are hearing now. I need you to feel the difference between a warning and a threat. A threat comes from anger or control. A warning comes for love and foresight. A threat says, do this or else. A warning says, please listen, because I see something you cannot see yet. I am not threatening you with loss. I am warning you so loss can be avoided. I am not demanding obedience through fear. I am inviting awareness through truth. I know urgency can stir anxiety in you. I know your heart may tighten when you feel pressed. That is why I am speaking gently even while I speak firmly. I am not trying to overwhelm you. I am trying to steady you. Emotional seriousness does not mean emotional harm. It means the moment deserves your full attention. I delayed this kind of speech as long as I could. I waited while you grew. I waited while you processed. I waited while you learned through quieter lessons. I allowed time to do its work because growth matters more to me than speed. But there comes a point when quiet preparation must give way to clear instruction. You are at that point now. I want you to know something important. Urgency does not mean you are in trouble. It does not mean you have failed. It does not mean you are being punished. If anything, it means you are trusted with truth. I do not warn those I have abandoned. I warn those I intend to protect. I speak clearly to those I care for deeply. You may be wondering why this could not wait. Why it had to come now, in this way. It is because something is already moving. Not everything that matters announces itself loudly. Some shifts begin quietly and gain momentum before you realize what is happening. I am speaking now so you are not caught trying to understand something after it has already passed the point where understanding would help. Please support our channel. Our work aims to bring happiness into your life and encourage devotion to God. If you wish, you can support us by donating through Super Thanks. This is why my tone is serious. Not because I am angry, but because this moment is not casual. Casual words would not match the weight of what you need to hear. I will not pretend everything is ordinary when it is not. I will not speak lightly when clarity is required. That would not be love. I know you prefer reassurance before instruction. I know you want to feel safe before you are asked to listen closely. That is human, and I do not judge it. But sometimes safety comes from knowing the truth, not from avoiding it. I am giving you truth now so safety can be built on something solid instead of something fragile. When I speak urgently, I am not pulling you forward violently. I am placing my hand on your shoulder and asking you to stop, to look, to pay attention. I am slowing you down internally even if my words feel intense. Intensity does not always mean speed. Sometimes it means focus. I want you to trust my heart in this. I have watched you carefully. I have seen the signs you did not know how to interpret. I have seen the strain you tried to push through quietly. I have seen the moments you told yourself everything was fine when something inside you knew it was not. I did not rush in at the first sign of trouble. I waited until you were able to hear without shutting down. That is why I am speaking now. This urgency is wrapped in care. I am not standing far away, shouting warnings from a distance. I am close to you, speaking directly to your heart, making sure you know you are not alone in this. I am not sending you out to face something by yourself. I am preparing you so you can walk forward with me, not behind me, and not without me. I know the words you need to know this can feel heavy. They can make you brace for bad news. But hear me. Knowing does not mean harm is coming. Knowing means you will not be blindsided. Knowing means you will have clarity instead of confusion. Knowing means you will be able to recognize what is happening instead of being swept along by it. I am careful with your heart. I know how deeply you feel things. I know how easily pressure can turn into fear if you are not grounded. That is why I keep reminding you that this is love speaking, not alarm. This is protection, not punishment. This is care that refuses to stay silent. There is a seriousness in my voice because I'm asking you to take this moment seriously, not because I am withdrawing warmth. My warmth is not left. It is right here, holding the weight of these words so they do not crush you. You can feel both at the same time, the weight and the care. They are not opposites. I want you to understand that I do not enjoy pleading. I do it only when something matters enough to risk being misunderstood. I would rather risk you thinking I am intense than risk you thinking this moment is optional. Some moments are not uphill. They are turning points. This is one of them. I am not asking you to panic. I am asking you to listen. I am not asking you to act immediately. I am asking you to become aware. Awareness is the first protection. When you see clearly, you move wisely. When you are aware, fear loses its power to surprise you. You may feel your heart resisting even as you listen. That resistance is not failure. It is simply the tension between what is familiar and what is true. Stay with me through that tension. Do not shut down. Do not rush away. Let my words settle instead of bouncing off your defenses. I am speaking like this now because I love you enough to be clear. Love that is unclear when clarity is needed is not love at all. I would not disturb your peace unless preserving it required truth. I am not here to take peace from you. I am here to give you peace that can withstand what is ahead. Trust me in this moment. Trust not just what I am saying, but why I am saying it. I see further than you can see right now. I see what is unfolding. I see what could be misunderstood if you remain unaware. And I care too deeply about you to let that happen without speaking plainly. Stay with me. Breathe. Let the urgency sharpen your focus, not your fear. I am here, speaking now, because this matters and because you matter. My child, there has been much happening around you that you could not see, and I want to speak of it now gently, without overwhelming you. What you have felt was real. What you sensed but could not explain was not your imagination. You were not becoming weak, confused, or unstable. You were becoming aware. And awareness often feels like confusion before it becomes clarity. Changes did not begin loudly. They did not arrive with announcements or signs that demanded attention. They began quietly, almost unnoticed. Like a shift in the air before a storm or a stillness before dawn. You felt it as a heaviness you could not name, as a restlessness that did not match your circumstances, as a sense that something was off even when nothing obvious was wrong. That was not disorder. That was movement beneath the surface. Much of what matters most does not first appear where the eyes can see. I work deeply before I work openly. I rearrange before I reveal. I prepare the unseen before the visible changes. While you were living your days, attending to what was in front of you, I was working around you, within you, and ahead of you. I was shifting alignments, loosening what no longer served you, and allowing certain things to feel uncomfortable so they would no longer hold you. The confusion you felt was not random. Confusion often comes when old patterns begin to lose their grip but new clarity is not yet fully formed. It is the space between what was and what will be. You were standing in that space. You were not lost. You were transitioning. But transition feels disorienting when you do not yet see where it leads. Things felt heavy because weight was being added, not removed. Not the weight of burden, but the weight of significance. You were becoming more sensitive to what truly matters. What once felt normal began to feel draining. What once satisfied you began to feel empty. Conversations that used to distract you began to tire you. This was not rejection of life. It was refinement of focus. There were unseen shifts in your inner world as well. Your heart was learning to listen differently. Your spirit was becoming more alert. Your tolerance for noise, confusion, and surface answers was decreasing. That does not happen without discomfort. Growth always disturbs what is settled. Awareness always unsettles what is familiar. Right, yes, Lord, take all of me if you're ready to let go and trust Him. I want you to know that nothing you felt was meaningless. The heaviness did not come to crush you. It came to slow you down. It came to press you inward, toward reflection, toward listening, toward truth. If everything had remained light and easy, you might not have noticed what needed to change. So I allowed the weight not to harm you, but to get your attention gently before harsher measures were needed. Behind what you could see, I was also protecting you. Some paths that looked attractive were quietly closed. Some opportunities you thought you wanted lost their appeal. Some relationships shifted in tone or distance. You wondered why things no longer flowed the way they once did. It was not because you failed. It was because certain directions were no longer safe or aligned for where you are going. Unseen activity often feels like loss before it feels like guidance. When something begins to loosen its hold on you, it can feel like grief even if it was never meant to last. I allowed you to feel that so you would release it willingly rather than be forced to let go later. Release done gently preserves the heart. You questioned yourself during this time. You wondered if you were overthinking, if you were becoming too sensitive, if you were reading too much into things. I saw those questions. I did not correct you immediately because learning discernment requires sitting with uncertainty for a while. If I answered too quickly, you would depend on answers instead of learning how to listen. I was also rearranging timing. Some things you expected to move quickly slowed down. Some things you thought were delayed were actually being held back for your protection. Timing is one of the most invisible forms of guidance. When you cannot see it, delay feels personal. But delay is often love working quietly. I want you to hear this clearly. You were not being attacked. You were being prepared. You were not being abandoned. You were being adjusted. You were not losing ground. You were being repositioned. The heaviness did not mean danger was near. It meant change was near. You may have felt more alone than usual, even when people were around you. That was not because you were unloved. It was because your inner world was shifting faster than your outer world. When that happens, there is often a sense of isolation not as punishment, but as space. Space is needed for awareness to grow. I did not allow everything to make sense at once because understanding all at once can overwhelm the heart. Instead, I allowed you to feel first. Feeling prepares the soul for truth. Truth lands more gently in a heart that has already been softened by experience. What felt tough was alignment being challenged. What felt heavy was importance settling in. What felt confusing was transition without explanation. None of it was wasted. None of it was accidental. And none of it was meant to stay permanent. I am revealing this now because awareness is safer than confusion. I want you to look back at those moments not with fear, but with understanding. You were not failing. You were sensing. You were not weak. You were attentive. You were not losing peace. You were learning where peace truly comes from. I will not overwhelm you with details. You do not need to understand everything that has been happening. You only need to know this: I have been present in all of it. Nothing moved without my awareness. Nothing shifted without purpose. Nothing unsettled you without intention rooted in care. And now that you know this, the weight can begin to lift. Not because everything is finished, but because you are no longer in the dark. Light does not remove responsibility, but it removes fear. And fear has no place in what comes next. Stay calm. Stay open. Stay attentive. What has been happening behind what you can see was not meant to harm you. It was meant to prepare you. And now that preparation is beginning to make sense. My child, I know you have wondered why you could not be told this earlier. You ask yourself why clarity seemed delayed, why answers felt just out of reach, why silence stretched longer than you expected. I want to speak to that gently now, because misunderstanding timing can quietly erode trust if it is not healed by truth. I did not withhold this from you because you were unworthy. I delayed it because I was protecting you. There are truths that are too heavy to carry before the heart has been strengthened. There are revelations that, if given too early, would have confused you, frightened you, or pushed you to act before you were ready. Timing is not about information alone. It is about capacity. I speak when the heart can receive without breaking, when understanding will steady you instead of overwhelm you. You were not ready before, and that is not an accusation. It is simply reality. Readiness is not about intelligence or effort. It is about formation. Before now, you were still learning how to sit with uncertainty without panic. You were learning how to listen without demanding immediate answers. You were learning how to trust me even when silence felt uncomfortable. Those lessons mattered more than the information you were asking for. Silence was not absence. Silence was training. In the quiet, you learned to notice what was happening inside you. You learned to recognize fear when it tried to speak louder than faith. You learned how to wait without walking away. Those lessons could not be rushed. If I had filled the silence too quickly, you would have relied on answers instead of learning to rely on me. I know there were moments when the silence felt personal, when you wondered if I had overlooked you or moved on. That pain did not go unnoticed. I saw it. I felt it with you. But silence was not a sign of forgetfulness. It was a sign of careful guidance. I was walking with you through growth that words could not accomplish. You see now things you could not see before. You notice patterns you once ignored. You feel weight where you once felt nothing. That awareness did not come overnight. It was formed slowly, through experience, through waiting, through wrestling with questions that had no immediate answers. That is why you can hear me now without fear overtaking you. If I had told you this earlier, you might have misunderstood it. You might have reacted instead of listened. You might have tried to control what needed to unfold naturally. Protection sometimes looks like delay. Love sometimes looks like restraint. I do not reveal everything the moment it becomes true. I reveal it when it becomes helpful. You are growing roots in the dark. Roots do not grow in the light. They grow where no one sees, where patience is required, where nothing seems to be happening on the surface. But without roots, growth above ground cannot be sustained. The silence you endured was strengthening you in ways you did not recognize at the time. I want to remove this fear from you now. You were never forgotten. Not for a moment. I do not lose track of my children. I do not overlook their questions. I do not ignore their cries. I hear everything. But hearing does not always mean answering immediately. Sometimes it means waiting until the answer will heal instead of hurt. You asked for clarity before, but what you needed then was stability. You asked for understanding, but what you needed first was trust. Trust grows when you remain connected even without explanations. You remained. That is why you are here now. That is why I am speaking clearly now. Divine timing is not punishment for impatience. It is care for the heart. I do not delay because I enjoy watching you struggle. I delay because I see what you cannot yet see. I see where each piece fits. I see how truth will land. I see how it will shape you. I time my words so they build you instead of shaking you apart. You may look back now and realize that earlier clarity would have changed your choices. That is true. And some of those choices would have been driven by fear instead of faith. I was guarding you from that. You needed to learn how to stay before you learned what to do. Staying is the foundation of obedience. I am speaking now because something in you has shifted. You are less reactive. You are more reflective. You are more willing to listen than to rush. You are more open to being guided than to being in control. That did not happen by accident. It happened through the very silence you questioned. Let go of the idea that delay means denial. Let go of the belief that silence means distance. My timing is not arbitrary. It is relational. I speak when you are ready to receive me, not just my words. Words without relationship confuse. Relationship makes words life-giving. You were not late. You were being prepared. You were not overlooked. You were being formed. You were not ignored. You were being strengthened. I want you to carry that truth forward so that future silences do not scare you. They are not signs of abandonment. They are often signs of deeper work. Trust me with timing, even when you do not understand it. Trust that I know when to speak and when to wait. Trust that I see your heart more clearly than you do. And trust that if I am speaking now, it is because you are ready to hear in a way you could not before. I am with you. I have always been with you. And now, because the season has shifted and your heart has grown, I am speaking plainly. Let that build trust, not doubt. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for this very moment. My child, there are moments when listening becomes more important than doing, and this is one of those moments. I am asking you now not to ignore what is being placed before you, not because I want to rush you into action, but because delay at this point would slowly dull what has just been awakened inside you. Awareness is fragile when it is new. It must be protected and not postponed. I know how easy it is to delay when something feels heavy. You tell yourself you will return to it later, when you have more energy, more clarity, more peace. But later often turns into distance. Distance turns into numbness. And numbness slowly silences the very sensitivity you are beginning to regain. I am not warning you to scare you. I am warning you because I want to preserve what is alive in you right now. Distraction is subtle. It does not always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like busyness. Sometimes it looks like self-care taken too far. Sometimes it looks like telling yourself you deserve a break from seriousness. I understand rest. I created it. But distraction pulls you away from truth before truth has time to settle. When truth is ignored repeatedly, the heart learns how to look away without noticing it is doing so. Ignoring truth does not erase it. It only makes it harder to recognize later. Awareness dulls not all at once, but gradually. The first time you ignore a nudge, it feels uncomfortable. The second time, it feels easier. Over time, the discomfort fades and so does sensitivity. I am speaking now because your sensitivity is still alive. I want to keep it that way. This moment is a turning point, not because everything must change immediately, but because something has already changed inside you. You see differently now. You sense weight where before there was only noise. You recognize that this is not just another message to be consumed and forgotten. Turning points are quiet at first. They do not demand dramatic action. They ask for attention. I am not asking you to make decisions right now. I am not asking you to solve everything you are facing. I am asking you to listen. Listening is an act of humility. It says, I do not have to control this moment. I am willing to receive. Action without listening creates movement without direction. Listening prepares the heart so action, when it comes, is steady instead of reactive. You may feel pressure rising as I say this. Let that pressure become focus, not fear. Focus narrows your attention to what matters. Fear scatters it. I am not pushing you toward panic. I am drawing you into clarity. This is not the moment to rush. It is the moment to stay present. I want you to understand something important. Delaying does not keep things neutral. It moves them backward. Truth requires engagement to stay alive. When you engage with it, it grows clearer. When you avoid it, it fades. I am asking you not to ignore this because ignoring it would slowly undo what has just been built. There will be time for action. There will be time for steps and choices. But right now, listening is the work. Staying open is the work. Allowing these words to reach places you usually guard is the work. Do not trade that for the illusion of productivity. Viewing something can feel safer than sitting with truth. But safety that avoids truth is fragile. This turning point is not dramatic on the outside. No one else may notice it. That does not make it small. Some of the most important shifts happen internally, quietly, where only you and I are aware of them. Those shifts determine the direction of everything that follows. I am raising the stakes gently, not harshly. I am not saying everything will fall apart if you hesitate once. I am saying that what is being offered now deserves respect. Respect is shown by attention, not by anxiety. When you respect a moment, you give it space. You do not rush past it. You do not reduce it to something manageable. You let it shape you. You may be tempted to minimize this, to tell yourself you are reading too much into it. The temptation is familiar. It is the voice that tries to keep things comfortable by making them smaller. Do not listen to that voice right now. Comfort that avoids growth eventually becomes constraint. I am not asking you to withdraw from your life. I am asking you to carry this awareness into it. Let it inform how you listen, how you respond, how you choose. That cannot happen if you ignore what you are hearing now. Stay with me here. Let these words settle. Let them clarify rather than rush you. This is a turning point because you are aware of it. Awareness is the doorway. Do not walk past it distracted. Pause. Listen. Remain. I am not pressuring you to act. I am inviting you to stay awake. Stay awake to what is happening inside you. Stay awake to what is shifting around you. Stay awake to my presence, which is closer than you think. Do not ignore this moment. Not because something terrible will happen if you do, but because something good will be delayed if you do. I want you to move forward with clarity, not confusion. And clarity begins with listening. Comment, "You are worthy of my every breath." Father, if your soul rises in praise. And share this video.